everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my channel. We have another try a chapter video. This time it is the Sci-Fi September / Self-Pub September edition of this, which we are going to refer to as the Sci-Fi Romance try a chapter installment. So obviously it's September, I want to read sci-fi books. I also want to take part in Self-Pub September. I will obviously be reading a lot of Indian self-pub books anyway, because that's typically what I read in romance anyway. But as I'm trying to tackle all of my TBRs and trying to whittle down things that I want to keep and I want to read and things that I really just need to let go of, these try chapter videos are being really helpful. You guys know I have a bunch of apps. I had a video about this recently, and I have a sci-fi romance folder. And currently I think there are 24 books in here. Now, there are multiple books in a series and things like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a random number generator, and I'm going to be trying first chapters. Now, if the random number generator picks a book that's, you know, further along in a series than I am, I'm not going to read it, I'll just roll again. I'm not going to sort them out of here just to not have that. I think that's just a bit silly. No, you know what, we're going to let chaos rule. We'll just try as many as we can get to before I hit multiples in series and things like that, because why not? So 1 to 24. Here we go. I'm gonna hit it 3 times first. 1, 2. Okay, first one is 5, which on my list is Beast in the Cage by Tammy Walsh. No idea what this is. Have no idea where I picked it up. It was probably free at some point. Let's read it. Beast in the Cage is it's basically, I'm assuming, a prison planet kind of book. So where in Lily's perspective, she's the female protagonist. She has been kidnapped by aliens, found herself on a planet where basically monsters and aliens are forced to fight one another, from what I gather, and then women from around the galaxy are their prizes. She's only been there for 3 days. No one's claimed her. She's small, she's human. She doesn't really appeal to anyone, and the Beast has just won a tournament, and he normally never takes a prize, but this time he selects her. And in this chapter they end up back in his cell. Before anything goes too far, he actually stops, and she's freaking out as to why. So I would probably need a few more chapters of this one to make a judgment as to whether or not I'm going to keep it. I would like to at least read one of his chapters first, which is the next one. Okay, that's interesting. So let's go bring up the random number generator again. What are we going to read next? All right, 9. Oh, can't do 9. 9 is further in a series than I've read. 24 is, oh, okay, is the first book in the Villains of Vanguard series by Ryder and Melanie. It's called Corrupted Desire. I actually have read a book in this series. I accidentally read this one out of order, but I've not read book 1, so that's a good spot to start. So I got a little bit mixed up. So this is the first book in the Villains of Vanguard series, which is a follow-on from the Heroes of Vanguard series, which is the series that I've read books in. So these are, well, it seems to be 3 of the villains from that series have been released from prison for some purpose. The first chapter is from Diesel's perspective. He's out with the other 2 men who've been released, plus their doctor / psychiatrist or psychologist, and there's some deal that, you know, to be released they have to have these meetings and they have to work together, and they're not allowed to kill anyone, and they're not allowed to get into any trouble. And it's kind of just setting up that world. And also we find out that Diesel has a job working at a diner. These are all queer stories, so that one's interesting. I'm intrigued. This is a good start. Oh, we did 5 already. Okay, 12. What's 12? Actually, no, that's an anthology. Let's not do an anthology. That's not going to work. Instead, let's go with 6, which is Mama and the Alien Warrior by Honey Phillips and Bex McLean. Sorry for the laundry in the background. So that was a fairly short chapter. We have Abby, who runs a maternity house. She has adopted her niece Lucy and is raising her as her own daughter. And Lucy comes into her bedroom saying that she's seen fireworks. And when Abby goes to investigate, she sees these strange men who don't really look quite human and who don't sound human, who start disappearing women from her home. Abby and Lucy are taken as well, and they wake up in a white sterile room. So that's about where we are. It was a fairly fast-paced read, so it was like it was really easy to get into. What are we going to do next? 20. Okay, Would She Be Gone by Melanie Shaw. I don't know if that's actually sci-fi. Okay, so it's a near future book, so yes, fits under the category. Near future sci-fi censorship. Okay, let's read it and find out. Okay, so this book is set in a near future world where censorship is well and truly in place. There seems to be a artificial intelligent algorithm called the librarian that censors material that could potentially be triggering for people in an effort to stave off mental health issues for people, which anyway. So our female protagonist is Ginny. She is a police detective and she's gone undercover to a bar where people are practicing and reading poetry, even though that's banned. And she meets a guy there called Jonas. So her job is to infiltrate this underground and find out information, obviously bust the people for sharing material that has not been approved by the AI algorithm, and yet she finds herself reacting to their poetry. And this is in part because her mother was a writer and her mother unalived herself in the past. So that is mentioned. This is also very short. It's a novella. I think it's less than 100 pages, but it's very intriguing. I'm always interested when books explore this idea. And poems are included in the story. What is next on our list? Oh dear, I've lost my random number generator. Let's try it again. Did 5. Okay, what's 7? Sorry, the sun has come out. What's 17? Okay, is Infamous Heart, which is book 1 in the Heroes of Vanguard series. So this is the series I started, but I've not read book 1. Let's give this a go. As I said, this series is about superheroes. It's a queer story, and this book is following Griffin, who works for a newspaper, but he's trained as an artist, but he can't find anything within his field. So he's feeling very let down and disheartened about his job. And it also sets up the world that they live in, that heroes exist and that there are villains and that everyone sort of is involved. There's an app that tracks everything that's happening so people can either go and gawk or they can avoid it, etc. But at the very start of this book, he's having coffee with his friends, one of whom is a superhero but hasn't told them that he's a superhero, but Griffin knows. And then he also goes out to an art store because he's just feeling disconnected from his passion. And while he's there, he signs up for an art class. So I'm assuming that that's going to play into the story somehow. It's a really slow start into the series, and I guess knowing a little bit about the world, that's enough to hook me into the story. So that is an interesting one. All right, I'm really quickly going to choose another book and then I'm going to jump on. I think there are some 30 and 30 sprints happening, so I will try and at least jump in temporarily to that and use the sprints to continue doing this. 3. What's 3? Oh, 3 is the Drift series by Susan Hayes. Now, I have to double check. I think I might have read the first book in the series, but I have a bundle of 1 to 3, so if I have, I'll read the second one. Okay, so I had read the first book, so the second book in the series is All In, and this is set on an alien planet. All the characters are cyborgs. They are why choose stories. The first book I remember was about one of the co-owners of a bar, and it's part bar, part casino, part cage fighting rink. In the first chapter, we meet all 3 characters. We meet Cinder, who is one of the co-owners of the bar. She's also a cage fighter. Toro and, oh gosh, Jaeger. So Toro and Jaeger are batchmates from their cyborg war. Toro is about to sign up as a fighter, and I'm assuming that the next chapter is where they're going to meet Cinder. She's just been in a cage fight and she has won very, very effectively, and they're just like besotted with her. So yeah, that's All In. I think I'm going to do 2 more books to round this out to 8. So let's go with our next number. It's liking picking 5. 21. What was 21? An Alien Crush by Calla. Let's see what this one's like. Alright, so this is a novella. It's about Sasha, who is a human woman who was kidnapped from Earth but saved by Saedo soldiers, aliens, whoever, anyway, is now settled on another planet. She works as a hairdresser and she's part of the village, and she's being courted, or she thought she was being courted, by someone called Mason, and he's disappeared. But she finds out he's been helping a member of the village who's been injured, blah blah blah. Anyway, they've just met up. There are 6 chapters in this book. This book is only like 54 pages, but the first chapter is 37% of the book. So it probably needed to be broken up into little shorter chunks, but yeah, not sure I'm going to continue that, which feels kind of ridiculous because it's only 50 pages, but I just didn't really care. So that's where this honesty comes into play, right? Last number, 14. 5, 10. Sail by Lindsay Loucks. No idea what that is at all. Alrighty, I'll let you know soon. The first chapter is from Absidy's perspective, or Abs, and she's waiting for her father and sister to come back from an interstellar cruise, and when her father gets off the ship, he tells her that her sister has gone missing with potentially a group of rebels. Didn't really connect with the writing in this one, not sure I'm going to continue it. It was fine, but there was an awful lot of information given all at once, but also not enough to connect me to the story. So of all of these, I think I'm most interested in the Ryder O'Malley books, the Melanie Shaw one, which I might actually finish for this video because it's so short, and the Susan Hayes book. But yeah, I think I might finish Would She Be Gone, just because it's short and it's something that I can talk about at the end. And yeah, then we'll wrap up this video. So I finished Would She Be Gone by Melanie Shaw, and it's really interesting. Like this one, I enjoyed it, but I also feel like this would be a really good expanded story. I think if you had, even if it was 50 more pages to sort of flesh out the world, because our main character, Jenny, eventually realizes and recognizes that the work that she's doing with the police and censoring things is actually stunting her from moving forward. And so she has a change of heart with Jonas, the man who is part of a ring of people, you know, spreading illegal stories and poetry and things like that. And so she has her about face because her brother and her father were arrested for having material that her mother wrote and for reading it and being in possession of it. And while all the beats in the story are actually really good, like it's really well plotted, it just felt like it needed a little bit more to flesh it out. So it was good, but I think having some more in there would have been useful as well. So yeah, that's my Try Chapter science fiction edition. Yet 2 of these this month because the last one is a holdover from last month. I enjoyed it, and I'll be doing a paranormal one in October. That's going to be my next one. So stay tuned for that. In the comments, I'd love to know if you've read any of these books or if you have plans to pick any of them up. Feel free to let me know your favorite sci-fi romance recommendation down below. Otherwise, leave me any kind of technology related emoji down below. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.